will move to Senator Hancock. File item 14, SB 725, file item 14.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. SB 725 will review and update California's visual and performing arts standards to connect them with Common Core standards and the 21st century technical skills necessary for the careers of the future, as we were sort of just talking about. We have amended the bill to align it with the Timeline and Content Standards Advisory Committee guidelines in AB 740 by Dr. Weber. As amended, SB 725 requires the Superintendent of Public Instruction, in consultation with the State Board, to convene a panel of experts to recommend new and visual performing arts standards to the State Board. The National Core Standards, Core Art Standards will be used. These were finalized in 2014 as the basis of the deliberations of the committee. A minimum of 2 public meetings will be held so that standards can be submitted to the board on or before January 31st of 2018 and adopted before July 18th. Implementation is contingent upon both the board adopting a schedule for the regular update of academic content standards, as well as the legislature appropriating funds for the purpose. It's been 14 years. We know arts education helps get test scores up, keep kids engaged and excited about school and learning. I would ask for your aye vote, and with me today in support is Mike Stone, the president of the California Music Educators Association, and Armelin DeLeo, president-elect of the California Arts Education Association.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Lynn Fawkes, and I represent these 2 wonderful organizations, and I'm here to answer any technical questions that the committee may have.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Michael Stone, and I am the president of California Music Educators Association, CMEA, the proud sponsors of SB 725. Back in 2000, SB 1390 established our current visual and performing arts standards in California. Educational policy priorities, instructional practices in our schools, educational resources, and technology have all advanced significantly during the past 14 years. Therefore, we believe that an update is necessary. Standards provide the crucial roadmap that guides a teacher's instruction. New standards are needed to best prepare our students to be creative, critical thinkers, as well as effective communicators and collaborators. Visual and performing arts instruction is mandated in California's public schools through the Education Code as a part of all children's curriculum in grades 1 through 6, and courses must be offered in grades 7 through 12. The local control accountability plans that are required for school districts specify how they are providing education in course access, including those in the required visual and performing arts. Senator Hancock's SB 725 will provide the updated standards to guide required arts instruction in our great state. The 2015 Otis report on the creative economy finds that 10% of California's jobs are in the creative industry. 10%. It is in California's best economic interest to provide students updated standards today. Educators and the arts industry support SB 725. As Quincy Jones states, I understand the impact of this on California's economy and the necessity to have a workforce that has mastered the most current arts standards. SB 725 passed unanimously in the state Senate earlier this year. California's 6 million students deserve updated visual and performing arts standards. I ask for your aye vote on SB 725. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman O'Donnell and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today about the need for new California visual and performing arts standards that reflect 21st century teaching, pedagogy, and learning in the arts. My name is Armelin De La O, and I am currently the president-elect for the California Art Education Association, a regional director of the California Arts Project, and visual and performing arts coordinator for San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. I'm also a part-time lecturer at CSU San Bernardino teaching music education. Prior to my current roles, I have taught music K-8 and have been a student of the arts my entire life. Over my career, I've had the honor to serve as one of the 11 music educators that developed the National Board Professional Teaching Standards in Music, serve as one of the writers of our current California Music Standards, and in 2012 was selected as one of the 10 national writers for the new National Core Art Standards in Music. SB 725 calls for the use of these new National Core Art Standards as basis for deliberations on new California art standards, building upon the research, input, and work done by the national writing teams. California had the best representation and input of any state on the new national art standards, which were released in June 2014 for states to adopt or adapt. California had an art educator on each of the standards development teams of dance, music, theater, and visual arts. California also had the highest number of reviewers providing input during the 3 public national reviews. This input was reviewed and considered by all writing teams. The new National Core Art Standards are research-based, include current discipline pedagogies, support students' content literacy development, reflect the role and use of new technologies in each arts discipline, and move arts education from the 20th century into the 21st century. The new National Art Standards support embedded curricular approaches of content literacy and language development found in other newly adopted California content standards. It has been 14 years since California adopted art standards. In that time, many changes have taken place within education, the arts, technology, and student learning expectations. California students deserve visual and performing arts content standards which support developing competencies in dance, music, theater, and visual arts necessary for success in college and career in the 21st century. With any adoption of new sets of standards, professional learning for teachers and administrators must take place to support implementation. The California Arts Project, the state subject matter project for the arts, provides ongoing standards-based professional learning and leadership across the state for arts and career arts educators. The Arts Project is prepared to support new standards implementation and collaborate with the California Department of Education, the 4 arts education organizations, and county offices to support visual, performing, and career arts educators when new standards are adopted. In closing, SB 725 will allow California to begin the process of updating and adopting new art standards to prepare students for college and careers of the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? State your name, affiliation, and position on the bill, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Isabel Garcia on behalf of the California Teachers Association. We want to commend the comprehensive bill analysis and join the sponsors in supporting the bill. Urge your aye vote.
Erica Hoffman on behalf of the California School Boards Association, also in support.
Shireen Walter, California State PTA. We support the arts and we support this bill. Thank you.
Melissa Bramham, Elk Grove Unified School District, California Arts Project, and California Dance Educator Association in support.
Christine Alexander, the California Arts Project, in full support.
Dr. Nancy Andrejak, California Art Education Association, in full support.
Nora Alstead from Visalia. I'm the California Teachers Association liaison to CMEA, in full support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Ron Rapp on behalf of the California Federation of Teachers, in support.
Great, thank you. Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, we'll bring it back. Thank you, Senator, for sponsoring this bill, or authoring this bill. I think, if it's about the creative economy, it's about the California economy. I think we know that, and that's been stated here today. So thank you. Any comments from any of the committee members?
Move the bill. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Would you like to close?
Simply, I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Chavez?
Aye.
Chavez, aye. Kim?
Aye.
Kim, aye. McCarty?
Aye.
McCarty, aye. Santiago? Thurman?
Aye.
Thurman, aye. Weber?
Aye.
Weber, aye. 6-0.
The bill is out 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move to file item number 10, SB 369 by Senator Block. He is here, I believe. Yes, he is. File item 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to begin by accepting the suggested amendment on page 3 of the analysis and thank committee staff for their assistance. Senate Bill 369 creates a new identifier for pupils of military families in the CalPAD system. Military children, as you can imagine, often experience educational challenges that other children don't necessarily experience. There are parents who are taken away, called to duty for months at a time. There are frequent moves that sometimes are not planned and are not voluntary but are created anyway. And California has no uniform method for tracking these students, for tracking their attendance and for tracking their academic progress in our public schools. Currently, by the way, there are more than 60,000 of these school-age children affiliated with active duty service members who attend schools here in California. So what can we do? In 2009, the Department of Defense provided over $30 million in grants to schools in California that have military children to improve the academic progress of these children. But we're told without having a student identifier, that can be difficult, and it can be difficult to even apply for these grants. Having the identifier created in this bill will assist schools in applying for grants and will greatly enhance the success of our children, of our service members. SB 369 has enjoyed unanimous bipartisan support thus far, and its supporters include the California PTA, the U.S. Department of Defense, the United States Navy, the United States Marine Corps, numerous veterans organizations, and others. It has no opposition. With me here to testify is Kelly May with the U.S. Marine Corps.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kelly May. I'm the Regional School Liaison for Marine Corps Installations West. We're based at Camp Pendleton. I'm here on behalf of Brigadier General Edward Banta, who is the Commanding General of MCI West. We have, of the 61,000 children of active duty military children, service members in California, we have 18,000 that are affiliated with Marine Corps. I'm also here to communicate the support of the Department of Defense Family and Community Policy Office and also the United States Navy. There are, as Senator Block mentioned, there are 61,000 military children in school of active duty service members here in California. These students face some special challenges. They tend to move frequently, as you might imagine. Over the course of a parent's military career, a child will move on average 7 to 9 times. Many of those moves are during high school, which are the most challenging, as you can imagine. The general himself has 2 daughters who have each transferred to 3 different high schools only. So he understands the challenges that the frequent transition presents to children. These parents also tend to deploy overseas often for months at a time, and in recent years, these deployments have often been to combat zones. We do have many resources, policies, and programs that are available to assist these children from the federal level to the local level. But almost everything we know about how these children are doing in schools comes from anecdotal records and reports. We do not, as a rule, have concrete data on how they're doing from an academic perspective or a social or emotional perspective. In fact, we do not even know where the numbers of some of our military student populations in the smaller districts in California. Establishing an identifier for military children is an essential step in making sure they're getting the services they need. It would help local school districts assess their programs and focus resources most effectively for these children. Additionally, federal funds and resources can only be allocated to school districts with substantiated data on military student percentages at the district and local school levels. And so an identifier could help these districts secure more funding from the federal government. Thank you, and I ask for your support.
Do you have another witness?
Nope.
No? Okay. With that, any others in support?
Sure.
Shireen Walter, and as from the California State PTA, and as Senator Block said, we're strongly in support of this bill.
Thank you. Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, any members of the committee wish to comment? Mr. Chavez.
Senator Block, thank you very much for bringing this bill forward. As you know, this has been something that's been critical to the military families for decades. It's always has run into obstacles as it goes up. For everybody here to know, the Governor's Military Council completed their 2-year analysis of looking at Department of Defense sites throughout the state of California and how we can ensure that the billions of dollars that come to the Department of Defense remain in California, looking at the upcoming BRAC that we're seeing on the resizing of the military in the United States. A vote for military families will send a clear message to the Department of Defense that California is supportive of the military, which will impact our budget in the billions of dollars of California. This is one of the top priorities of the Governor's Military Council. So I ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Any others in support? Any other comments from the committee members? Seeing no comments, you may close.
Just like to thank Assemblymember Chavez for his comments and urge your aye vote.
Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Chavez?
Aye.
Chavez, aye. Kim?
Aye.
Kim, aye. McCarty?
Aye.
McCarty, aye. Santiago? Thurman?
Aye.
Thurman, aye. Weber?
Aye.
Weber, aye. 6-0. What's out?
I'm sorry?
6-0.
6-0. The bill is out, Senator.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to file item number 4, SB 252. Senator Leno. You may proceed when ready, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and committee members. SB 252. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Pleasure to have our inaugural opportunity to work together.
Yes.
And along with the California Department of Education, I think we have together crafted a better bill than what was originally proposed. I want to also thank your staff. Very thorough examination of the bill and also some very creative thinking to actually identify some assistance for the bill. So pleased to accept the amendments as author's amendments. So I'm sure the committee is well aware that we have tragically over 300,000 homeless children in California, and the number unfortunately continues to grow. And there are special challenges, of course, for these 300,000 plus children in getting through school and getting through high school. And so the purpose of this bill is to offer them a little bit of assistance. We know that they're not in a home and all the other challenges that are incumbent with that situation, that it's quite likely they're going to fall behind in their studies, meaning they're more likely to fail, more likely to drop out, and not get that high school diploma. We also know that without a high school diploma, a child has a 7 to 8 times greater likelihood of finding his or her way into our criminal justice system, and that 75% of our state prison inmates are without a high school diploma. So specifically what the bill will do is exempt homeless youth, and the bill prescribes specifically how a youth would document their homeless status through social service providers, exempt them from the cost of a proficiency examination or a GED equivalency examination. And what we have been able to identify working together, the chair, his staff, and I, along with the Department of Education, is a GED fund, which has very limited use, exact amount in it to yet be identified, but that would be used, that fund would be spent down to cover the costs, and we believe that the cost would be very minor. So it may last for a couple of years, but that once the fund is exempted, that it would be the responsibility of the contractor, and there are 3 currently who contract with the state, to absorb the cost for these homeless youth. There was a study done, and the extrapolation is that it's maybe in the neighborhood of, for both the equivalency examination and the proficiency examination, in the neighborhood of around 900 students per year. Compare that to about 70,000 who are going to be taking the test. Yes, we had concerns that might this be passed on to other low-income, though not homeless, students who are going to be taking this examination, and we think that it would be minimal, if any, increase. And again, we can, through our RFP, make it clear it is your responsibility, contractor, to cover this cost. But the cost ranges can be from $140 to $180, so if it were an additional $1 or $2, it would be lost in the difference between what the actual cost of the examination is. So for the sake of these challenged youth and their families and for the good of the state, I would ask for your aye vote as amended.
Thank you. Do you have witnesses?
I certainly do.
They may proceed.
My name's Independence Taylor. I'm here to speak in support of SB 252 today. I'm a homeless youth here in Sacramento. About 8 years ago, my parents divorced, and for many years we struggled with finding stable housing. I've been homeless more than once growing up, but since last June, my mom, me, and my little brother and little sister have found ourselves any options to turn to besides shelter programming. I stayed previously at Wind Youth Shelter and then outside with other youth for a while. The past couple months, I've been sleeping on a Murphy bed at my coworker's house. And my family has been staying in a friend's house they were selling, but the house has since been sold. My family are now staying in my grandma's living room. I personally have taken the proficiency exam twice and failed because I have a math learning disability. I was close, but hey, third time's a charm, except I ran out of resources to pay for the exam. I paid for the first 2 tries with money my family pooled together. After trying twice, I decided to just enroll myself in a continuation school in Rancho Cordova. Here, I was able to successfully earn most of my credits needed to graduate, but due to my living situation, I had moved too far away to continue attending, and so I had to transfer to my 5th high school. But on May 27th, 2015, I graduated from Visions in Education in Carmichael. Other youth facing homelessness aren't so lucky to pull through, though. Many of the youth I've met in the shelter or on the street don't have the resources to pay for the proficiency exam or GED, and many don't try to access those tests just because the thought of how expensive they are turns them away. Many of the youth I had previously lived outside with never had the chance to complete high school or equivalent because of their homelessness. This bill would be a huge game changer for so many homeless youth and would open up many doors and opportunities that would help them get off the streets. I know education is important and will help me to gain stability I've not had in many years. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this bill today.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Paul Curtis. I'm Executive Director of the California Coalition for Youth. I'm here to speak on, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of SB 252. We're one of the co-sponsors of the bill, along with Housing California and the National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth. This bill will ensure that disconnected youth have access to the high school equivalency and proficiency exams at no charge for those residing in California and who can verify their status as homeless. California has twice the rate of homeless students as the national average. Overall, homeless students in California also represent approximately 21% of all the homeless students in the country and are one of our most vulnerable populations. Moving between unstable housing arrangements, lacking access to basic necessities such as showers, transportation, and food, and experiencing family conflict, poverty, and stigma can all make it difficult to stay in school, much less reach the required level of credits needed to graduate. Many youth in these situations ultimately drop out of school. As homelessness can make graduating from school difficult at best, SB 252 offers a path to getting a high school degree and accessing higher education and employment, which is extremely important to homeless youth. The high school proficiency exam and the equivalency exam are 2 paths to post-secondary education. As the author noted, the fees for these exams have increased in recent years to between $110 and $200. This cost presents an immense barrier for homeless youth. By waiving the fees to the high school proficiency and equivalency exams, this bill offers homeless youth a pathway to post-secondary education and employment opportunities that can greatly enhance their future earning power and ultimate stability. I've heard from many of our members across the state regarding this issue. They have often had to choose from between providing a bed for someone to sleep in or paying for one of these exams. This is a very difficult choice and one they shouldn't have to make. SB 252 is a step in the right direction to ensure that homeless youth can move forward with their lives in a positive manner and the best way to help them exit out of homelessness. On behalf of the California Coalition for Youth, our member agencies, and the youth that they serve, I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Others in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Frank Mecca, Executive Director of the County Welfare Directors Association, in strong support of the bill. I've also been asked to relay the support of the co-sponsor, Housing California, whose policy director is in Washington, D.C., lobbying for homeless funding. So on behalf of CWD and HCA, we support.
Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers, California Chapter, in support.
Pamela Gibbs, Los Angeles County Office of Education, in support.
Erin Evans on behalf of the San Francisco Unified School District, in support. Thank you.
Sue Vang on behalf of State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Torlakson, in support. We'd like to thank the committee and the author and his staff for working on the amendments. This removes an educational barrier for homeless youth and would help increase their access to college and careers. So thank you.
Gerald Schaefer from Wynn Youth Center. I strongly support this bill.
Jessica Evans on behalf of Wynn Youth Service, in support.
Nicole Kraut on behalf of all of my friends who cannot have access to education due to their financial status, just like mine, homeless, in support.
My name is Nikki Jones, and I'm a street outreach worker with Wind Youth Services, an organization locally serving youth experiencing homelessness. As you've seen some of our youth come forward, we are very much in support of this bill.
Angel Van Stark, a True Colors Fellow, and I am proud to support this bill.
Ron Rapp on behalf of the California Federation of Teachers, in support.
Shireen Walter, California State PTA, in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, we'll bring it back here. Thank you, Senator. We moved and seconded. Thank you, Senator. Your advocacy for homeless youth is admirable, beyond admirable, and you're an example to many, including myself. And also your desire to help them achieve. So thank you for working on this. And again, as it moves forward, we want to talk maybe about a sunset date, so it could just be reviewed in the future, not today. And also how this might impact other low-income youth with the subsidizing of the tests. But again, not today. With that, any other committee members wish to comment? The bill's been moved and seconded. You may close.
Just a very brief close to thank you again, Mr. Chair, and your staff, and also our Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Torlakson, who was very instrumental in getting us to where we are today. So I thank the Superintendent.
That is true.
Vote.
Yes.
The motion is do pass with amendments to appropriations. O'Donnell?
Aye.
O'Donnell, aye. Chavez?
Aye.
Chavez, aye. Kim? Aye. Kim, aye. McCarty? McCarty, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye. Thurmond? Thurmond, aye. Weber? Weber, aye.
7 votes. It's out.
The bill's out. 7 votes, Senator. You have another bill.
Thank you. Yes, sir.